And Pilate called to him Nicodemus, and those 12 men, which said that Yahshua was not born of fornication, and said to them, What shall I do? For there riseth sedition among the people. They said to Pilate, We know not. Let them see to it. Again Pilate called for the multitude of the Yahudim, and saith, You know that you have a custom, that at the feast of unleavened bread I should release to you a prisoner. Now I have a prisoner under condemnation in the prison, a murderer, Barabbas, by name, and this Yahshua. Now, why did Pilate say this Yahshua? Let's see. Jesus Barabbas, in the Aramaic, Yahshua Barabbas, literally son of the father or son of the teacher, is a figure mentioned in the New Testament in which Barabbas is an insurrectionary held by the Roman governor at the same time as Jesus, or Yahshua HaMashiach, and whom Pontius Pilate freed at the Passover feast in Jerusalem while keeping Yahshua HaMashiach as a prisoner. Now I have a prisoner under condemnation in the prison, a murderer, Barabbas, by name, and this Yahshua also which stand before you, in whom I find no fault. Whom will you that I release to you? But they, meaning the multitude, cried out, Barabbas. Pilate saith, What shall I do then with Yahshua, who is called Hamashiach? The Yahudim say, Let Yahshua be crucified. But certain of the Yahudim answered, You are not a friend of Caesar if you let this Yahshua go. For Yahshua called himself the son of Elohim and a king. Will you therefore have Yahshua for king and not Caesar? And Pilate was wroth and said to the Yahudim, Your nation is always seditious, and you rebel against your benefactors. The Yahudim say, Against what benefactors? Pilate saith, According as I have heard, your Elohim brought you out of Mizraim, out of hard bondage, and led you safe through the sea as by dry land, and in the wilderness he nourished you with manna and gave you quails, and gave you water to drink out of a rock, and gave to you a Torah. And in all these things you provoked your Elohim to anger, and sought a molten calf, and angered your Elohim, and he sought to slay you. And Moshe made supplication for you, and you were not put to death. And now you do accuse me that I hate the king. And Pilate rose up from the judgment seat and sought to go forth. And the Yahudim cried out, saying, We know our king, even Caesar, but not Yahshua. For indeed the wise men brought gifts from the east to Yahshua as to a king. And when Herodes heard from the wise men that a king was born, he sought to slay Yahshua. And when his father Joseph knew that, he took Yahshua and his mother Miriam, and they fled to Mizraim. And when Herodes heard it, he destroyed the children of the Hebrews that were born in Bethlehem. And when Pilate heard these words, he was afraid. And Pilate silenced the multitude, because they cried still. And he said to them, So then, this is him whom Herodes sought. The Yahudim said, Yeah, this is he. And Pilate took water and washed his hands before the sun, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just man. See you to it. Again the Yahudim cried out, His blood be on us and on our children. Then Pilate commanded the veil to be drawn before the judgment seat whereon he sat, and said to Yahshua, Your nation have accused you as being a king. Therefore I have decreed that you should be first scourged according to the Torah of the pious emperors, and thereafter hanged on the cross in the garden wherein you was taken. And let Dismas and Gestas, the two malefactors, be crucified with you. And Yahshua went forth of the judgment hall, and the two malefactors with him. And when they were come to the place, they stripped Yahshua of his garments, and girt Yahshua with a linen cloth, and put a crown of thorns about his head. Likewise also they hanged the two malefactors. But Yahshua said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And the soldiers divided his garments among them. And the people stood looking on Yahshua, and the chief priest, and the rulers with them derived Yahshua, saying, Yahshua save others, let Yahshua save himself. If he be the son of Elohim, let Yahshua come down from the cross. And the soldiers also mocked Yahshua, coming and offering Yahshua vinegar with gall. And they said, "If you be the king of the Yahudim, save yourself." And Pilate, after the sentence, commanded his accusation to be written for a title in the letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew, according to the saying of the Yahudim, that Yahshua was the king of the Yahudim. And one of the malefactors that were hanged, by the name Gessius, said to Yahshua, saying, "If you be Hamashiach, save yourself and us." But Dismas, answering, rebuking Gestas, saying, "Does you not at all fear Elohim, seeing you are in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man have done nothing amiss." And he said to Yahshua, "Remember me, Adonai, in your kingdom." And Yahshua said to Dismas, "Verily, verily, I say to you, that today you shall be with me in the Garden of Eden." And it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour, for the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent asunder in the midst. And Yahshua called with a loud voice and said, "Father, into your hands I commend my Ruach." And having thus said, Yahshua gave up the Ruach. And when the Satorian saw what was done, he glorified Elohim, saying, "This man was righteous." And all the multitude that had come to the sight, when they beheld what was done, smote their breast and returned. But the Satorian reported to Pilate the things that had come to pass. And when Pilate and his wife heard, they were sore vexed, neither ate nor drank that day. And Pilate sent to the Yahudim and said to them, "Did you see that which came to pass?" But the Yahudim said, "There was an eclipse of the sun after the accustomed sort." And his acquaintance had stood afar off, and the woman which came with him from Galilee, beholding these things. But a certain man named Joseph, being a counselor of the city of Ramoth, Arimathea, who also himself looked for the kingdom of Elohim, this man went to Pilate and begged the body of Yahushua. And Joseph took it down, and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in a huge sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid.